So today we're going to be talking about 3-4, which is all about multiplying and dividing equations. So just like yesterday, how we had addition and subtraction, multiplication and division also have inverse operations. So let's look at key concepts.
"48 divided by 4 equals 12. Starting with 12, if you multiply by 4 and then divide by 4, you end up back at 12. So division undoes multiplication. 48 divided by 4 equals 12. "12 times 4 equals 48. Starting with 48, if you divide by 4 and then multiply by 4, you end up back at 48. So, multiplication undoes division.
So just like yesterday, multiplication undoes division and division undoes multiplication.
And multiplication undoes division. Multiplication and division are inverse operations.
Awesome. On to part 1.
Models can help you visualize and solve some equations, such as 3 times x equals 27.
So here we have 3x equals 27. This is a bar diagram. So each of these x's is a part of that 27. We can split 27 evenly among the x's. Each x will get a little portion. The balance scale, just like yesterday, 3x balances when 27 is over here. So we can take x's away to figure out, and 1's on each side to figure out how much 1x is. And algebra tiles, you can also use these tiles to figure out how much x is.
This makes me think about the essential question. The model represents an equal relationship. The equation you write represents the same equal relationship. The model and the equation represent each other. Hey, that's pretty cool.
So they want us to write a modeled equation and solve it. So if I have 3x over here and it balances when there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So 3x equals 27. Well, my first step that I always think about is, okay, what is my sign? And my sign here is multiplication because I have a number next to a variable. What is the opposite of multiply? Well, the opposite of multiply is divide. So you need to divide 3 on both sides because you want to get x by yourself. So what's left? Well, I get x is equal to, what is 27 divided by 3? Well, 27 divided by 3 is 9. So my answer must be 9. Again, 3x equals 27. They substituted and valued the x is equal to 9 into the equation and simplified. So they broke each x up and they gave each x 9 1-tiles. So 3x equals 27. They plugged 9 in for x. 3 times 9 is 27. So 27 equals 27.
Solve the equation 5 times s equals 30.
So if I have 5s equals 30, my first step is to identify what operation I'm using. So next to the letter s, we have a number. Well, a number next to a variable means multiply. What's the opposite or the inverse operation of multiply? Divide. So if I divide 5 here to get s by itself, I also need to balance out my beam and divide 5 here. So what is 30 divided by 5? Well, 30 divided by 5 is 6. So s is 6. Go ahead and copy this down.
Each equation shows an operation. Drag each equation to the inverse of that operation.
So inverse is the opposite. So when you look at these, you need to identify the sign. So this is an addition sign. What is the opposite of add? Well, subtract. This one's the opposite of subtraction. So what's the opposite of subtraction? Addition. Make sure you copy these down. This little dot means multiply. What's the opposite of multiply? Divide. The opposite of add? Subtract. The opposite of division? Multiplication. The opposite of multiply, because a number next to a letter means multiply, even if it's in that parentheses. So what's the opposite of multiply? Divide. What's the opposite of divide? Multiply. The opposite of add? Subtract. Letter next to a number means multiply, so what's the opposite of multiplication? Division. The opposite of subtraction is addition. Go ahead and copy these down. Again, inverse means opposite. You use the inverse operations in order to solve for variables.
Each equation shows an operation. For which equation or equations is division the inverse operation?
So for which ones has division as the inverse, or for which ones has division as the opposite? Go ahead and circle those on your notes. And I'm going on to part 3.
An octopus's suction cups are evenly divided among its 8 arms. Solve the equation S divided by 8 equals 240 to find how many suction cups the octopus has in all.
So for this one, identify your sign. So I have a division sign. What's the opposite of divide? Well, the opposite of divide is multiply. So if I want to get S by itself, in order to get 8 away, I need to multiply by 8. And since we're talking about a balance beam, because of their equations, what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So if I multiply by 8 here, I also have to multiply by 8 on this side. So it's going to become S, is all that's left on the left of the equation, is equal to 240 times 8. Well, what is 240 times 8? I know that 240 times 8, 8 times 0 is 0. 4 times 8 is 32. Carry my 3. 8 times 2 is 16. Plus 3, 17, 18, 19. So that must mean the octopus suction cups has about 1,920 suction cups. So again, they multiplied by 8 because they had to do that to both sides. They got S is equal to 1,920 suction cups in all. They substituted 1,920 and divided by 8 and got 240 to check their answer.
Solve the equation M divided by 15 equals 25.
So what's the opposite of divide? Well, the opposite of divide is multiply. So on both sides, I need to see that you're multiplying by 15. So I get M is equal to 25 times 15. Well, what's 25 times 15? Copy this down. 5 times 5 gives me 25. Carry my 2. 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 2 is 12. 0 is a placeholder. 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 1 is 2. Add them together. 5 plus 0 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. 2 plus 1 is 3. So M should equal 375. When you have all this copied down, go ahead and move on to the next activity.